Does the brand provide the product service with inherent drama to differentiate? In other words, when you see it, it automatically excites the individual, or it's salient. It makes them very much aware of who you are. So does your brand really stand out among your competitors? When people see it, they automatically know who you are, and they automatically can recall a series of attributes that are related to who you are. The brand sponsor decision. Are you going to use the company's name? For many of you, you have organizations, this is true of Seven Hills, this is true of HMEA, I'm sure of other organizations, where you have many different product lines. So you might have a school for autistic children. You might have a work program in which you own a redemption center. You may have various kinds of other products and services that you provide. And so do you bring them all with your company name, or do you go ahead and use a different kind of branding strategy? The other one is to use the middleman's name. We see this a lot with supermarkets. If you go into supermarkets, they will sell brand names like Kellogg's or General Mills in breakfast cereals. They'll also have their own brand breakfast cereals. Roach Brothers has a whole series of supermarkets in their area, and their particular middleman brand name is Food Club. So they sell a lot of products under the Food Club brand name that's manufactured by somebody else, but they put their brand on it. So this is the middleman's names. And then finally, use the mixed brand policy, where, for example, General Motors does that. They have individual brands, and then they have a GMC brand. So you can approach this in different ways. How you approach it depends on what your market is, what services you're providing, whether or not you feel there'll be an inherent advantage in using one particular approach versus another. But whatever you do, you have to be consistent. If you're going to use multiple brands, you have to be sure that those brands are somehow associated with one another to ensure that there's some sort of a halo effect of the organization that everyone benefits from how the consumer sees and appreciates each one of those different brands. The brand quality decision, this gets back to that earlier issue that I talked about. Where do you want to be on that quality spectrum? Where do you want to be on that quality spectrum? Because if you say you're high quality, then you have to deliver on the offer. If you say you're high quality, you have to have the resources to be able to ensure. And then you have to define what high quality is. How is high quality defined by the consumer? How is it defined by your competitors? And you have to make those two decisions. Where are you going to locate that brand, initial quality, and how to manage that brand's quality over time. That means if you have a high quality program, you got to make sure that over time it continues to be high quality and it doesn't deteriorate. What we've had here, by the way, go back to that Tiger Woods talking about personal branding. Tiger Woods had a high quality brand image until his whole issue, his domestic issues. And now what's happened is that image has deteriorated and it affected his business enterprise and his relationship with his sponsors. The question is, can he rehabilitate that brand, that quality image, the quality attributes of his personal brand so that he can get back all those endorsements he once had? The probability is that he will do it because he's such unique talent. He delivers a unique product. But he still has to manage it. You still have to manage that brand. The family brand decision. Do you go with individual brand names, as General Motors does, or again with the breakfast cereal, General Mills has different brand names like Cheerios. Procter & Gamble does this all the time. Procter & Gamble does not put its name on anything other than the little type at the bottom of the packages. But Tide and Cheer and all those products, they all have their individual brand names. You can use a blanket family name for all your products, and many nonprofits do that. So they'll have every one of their products identified as with their particular brand, and they're just a product within that brand family. Separate family names for all products. You can go ahead and again, General Motors does that with all of its fleet of cars. And finally, you can give a company trade name combined with individual product names. So you can do, that's like Kellogg's Rice Krispies, Kellogg's Cornflakes, that kind of approach. Now these are important decisions you have to make, especially if you have a large multifaceted organization that provides a whole spectrum of products and services to a marketplace. And you have to do that in order to ensure integrity of the brand name. And so that people recognize who you are. If in fact you have you're providing a particular quality service, say residential homes, and they're well recognized for the service they provide, and the state thinks they're wonderful, but they don't necessarily, people don't necessarily equate them with your organization. Do you want to make sure they do, so that the halo effect of the quality that care that's being received in those residential homes spills over onto your organization as a whole? Or are you making some decisions based on concerns of privacy, concerns of legal concerns, that you want to keep the identity of those particular homes private, or you want to keep them low profile because of those particular issues? These are all decisions you have to discuss and you have to answer when you're deciding on family brand names. And then, so each one of these requires you to really think through your overall strategy. Brand extension decision. This is when you want to try to, you have a successful brand name, you want to try to extend it with further products. I was talking about my cell phone. I have a BlackBerry Pearl. But BlackBerry makes a whole different series of cell phones, right? The BlackBerry has a real good name. They have BlackBerry Pearl, they have BlackBerry Curve, they go on, there's about 6 or 7 different BlackBerries. The reason why those things confuse me is that you go and you get the little apps and all that, and they drive me crazy. I just want to talk on it. That's all I want to do. The rest of the stuff, forget about it. But all of these cell phones, and by the way, those are all the attributes that these cell phones have. How they sell themselves, because the cell phone's a cell phone's a cell phone. So how do they sell themselves? On all the various attributes that are associated with each cell phone. You can do everything there. You want to fry an egg, put it on top of the cell phone, and whatever it is, you can do it with these cell phones. But the product with them, it's hard to differentiate in the marketplace with cell phones because they're just reproducing each other. They're just copying the technology, and so it's very hard to get ahead of the curve in the cell phone marketplace. Multi-brand decision. Reasons for a multi-brand strategy. You can have, if you have increased competition in the marketplace and you want to sort of subdivide the market into smaller discrete segments, you may develop a brand specifically for those segments. If few customers are loyal to one brand, so you may decide, hey, maybe if they're not loyal to my brand, I might give them a whole series of brands they can choose from. You want to develop excitement and encourage efficiency in your organization. Sometimes people get bored with the same kind of routine. If I give them the option to launch a new product or service, they become energized, and they also become more creative. And then finally, it allows you to exploit different segment markets, as I mentioned earlier. So that's a multi-brand approach. The problem with that is the more brands you have, what's the difficulty? The more brands you have, what do you have to do? You have more managing. You have to manage it, to spend the time absolutely to manage it. And that becomes extraordinarily difficult in terms of resources. And we know the one thing that not-for-profits don't have a lot of are resources. And so you have to make good decisions about where you're going to spend your time, your effort, and your money in terms of brand